Hello, my dear boys and girls of class 9. Hopefully, all of you are fine and being productive at home. Welcome back to another biology lecture. In our previous class, we discussed about one of the most important physiological processes taking place in the body of plant, which was photosynthesis. In today's class, we are going to discuss about another one, which is respiration. So in your previous class, we got to know that during photosynthesis, green plants, especially the green parts, that means the leaves of the green plants, captures and converts light energy that comes from the sunlight into chemical energy and stores it as carbohydrate, as glucose, right? However, the energy that is stored in this carbohydrate cannot be used directly. So the question is, how does this energy is used then? Instead of using it directly, first of all, the food materials, that means the carbohydrate, must be broken down to convert its potential energy into kinetic energy in the form of heat. That means it first must be converted into the usable form, which is ATP, and this conversion occurs by the process of respiration. During respiration, carbohydrates, fats, organic acid can be processed and consumed. First of all, these complex compounds of the body are broken down into simple compounds, and later on these are converted to ATP. Respiration is a 24/7 process, that means it occurs all day long in the body of plants, but the rate of respiration is higher in growing parts. That means, for example, in the shoot tip of plants, in the floral parts, those parts which grows actually has high respiration ability. Respiration takes place in cytoplasm and mitochondria. Types of respiration. Respiration can be of two types. First is aerobic respiration, which occurs in the presence of air, that means in the presence of oxygen, and the second one is anaerobic respiration, occurs in the absence of oxygen. Aerobic respiration requires oxygen and produces water, carbon dioxide, and large amount of energy by oxidizing respiratory materials. That means the food materials. For example, it can be either fat or carbohydrate type of food, or protein, or it can be some organic acids. The main type of respiration that is seen in most plants and animals, with a few exceptions, is the aerobic respiration, and hence it is known as the typical respiration process. Here is a reaction given where you can see that the glucose that was produced during photosynthesis, right? So one molecule of glucose gets oxidized by 6 molecules of oxygen, as we are seeing oxidized. So it gets oxidized by 6 molecules of oxygen in the presence of different enzymes, and thus produces 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water, and 686 kilocalorie energy, which is equivalent to 38 molecules of ATP. Uh, Aerobic respiration occurs in 4 stages. First stage of aerobic respiration is glycolysis, which takes place in the cytoplasm. In glycolysis, as we are studying aerobic respiration and we knew that oxygen is must for this process, but for the first stage, which is glycolysis, oxygen is not required. That means it can occur in absence of oxygen. One molecule of glucose, here one molecule of glucose breaks down and forms 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. You must memorize the formula because it is important. And 4 molecules of ATP, 2 of which are being used in this process. So as a result, 2 molecules of ATP and 2 molecules of NADH plus H plus are produced. That means reduced nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide are produced. Our next stage is acetyl-CoA formation, which also takes place in the cytoplasm. Here, one molecule of pyruvic acid produces one molecule of 2 carbon, acetyl-CoA. one molecule of carbon dioxide and one molecule of NADH plus H plus. As during glycolysis, two molecules of pyruvic acid were produced, so in our next stage, that means in acetyl-CoA formation, from two molecules of pyruvic acid, a total of two molecules of two carbon acetyl-CoA, two molecule of carbon dioxide and two molecule of NADH2 will be produced. Next stage is the Krebs cycle, which is named after the British biochemist Sir Hans Krebs, who actually discovered this cycle. Our first two stages occurred in the cytoplasm, but the third stage, Krebs cycle, occurs in mitochondria. Here, the two carbon acetyl-CoA produced during the previous stage is oxidized, and as a result, two molecules of carbon dioxide, three molecules of NADH plus H plus and one molecule of FADH2 and lastly one molecule of GTP are produced. So a total of four molecules of carbon dioxide and six molecules of NADH plus H plus, two molecules of FADH2 and two molecules of GTP will be produced from the two molecules of acetyl-CoA produced during acetyl-CoA formation. Our last stage of aerobic respiration is electron transport system, which also occurs in mitochondria. Here, the NADH plus H plus, the reduced NAD and FADH2, which is the reduced FAD. You need to know the abbreviation of these terms. So FAD stands for flavin adenine dinucleotide. It is very important that you memorize all of these terms with the correct spelling and everything. So these reduced NAD and reduced FAD are oxidized during electron transport system, as well as ATP, water, electrons and protons are produced. The electron released during the electron transport system contains high energy and it moves through the electron transport system, and this energy that comes from the electron is used in the formation of ATP. Okay, so here is a flow chart showing how aerobic respiration actually takes place. It will be a lot easier after I explain this figure to you. So here our first product was glucose, which after glycolysis produced 2 pyruvic acid and 4 ATP and 2 NADH2. These were our products, but here you can see that 2 ATP are used during glycolysis, so here only 2 ATP will be produced. Okay, then comes the acetyl-CoA formation. So from one molecule of pyruvic acid, you can see that acetyl-CoA is formed, one molecule of acetyl-CoA. In addition to that, one molecule of carbon dioxide and one molecule of NADH2 is produced. So a total of 2 molecules of acetyl-CoA, 2 molecules of NADH2 and 2 molecules of carbon dioxide are produced during acetyl-CoA formation. These then enters into the Krebs cycle, where from each molecule of acetyl-CoA, 3 molecule of NADH2, 1 molecule of FADH2 and 1 molecule of GTP are produced, and in addition to that 2 molecules of carbon dioxide are produced. This is the cycle after which these are the products. So a total of 3 and 3, a total of 6 molecules, right? 6 molecules of NADH2, 2 molecules of FADH2 and 2 molecules of GTP are produced during this Krebs cycle. These then enters into the electron transport system, and after the oxidation of NADH2 and FADH2, a total of 38 ATP are produced, and in addition to that 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water and heat energy are produced. Here is next is the table that shows the net produced energy from one molecule of glucose during aerobic respiration. So here first is the stages of respiration. In glycolysis, our substances that were produced were 2 molecules of pyruvic acid, 2 molecules of NADH plus H plus and 4 molecules of ATP, but we got to know that among these 4 molecules of ATP, 2 molecules gets used, and as a result 2 molecules of ATP are produced, and here you can see that 6 molecules of ATP is produced. Now the question may come into your mind, where do we get this? So here at the bottom of the table you can see that from 1 molecule of NADH plus H plus or NADH2 is equivalent to 3 molecules of ATP. So here we had 2 molecules of NADH2, so from 2 molecules of NADH2, 6 molecules of ATP are produced. Next was the acetyl-CoA formation, where 2 molecules of acetyl-CoA, 2 molecules of carbon dioxide and 2 molecules of NADH2 are produced. Here we used the 2 molecules of pyruvic acid produced during the glycolysis. So a neat product were 2 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of ATP coming from the 2 molecules of NADH plus H plus. Next was Krebs cycle, where 4 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of NADH2, these are the total, right? 2 molecules of FADH2 and 2 molecules of GTP are produced. So from 6 molecules of NAD, here the used material was 2 molecules of acetyl-CoA. So from 6 molecules of NADH2, 6 into 3, a total of 18 ATP. Then from here you can see 1 molecule of FADH2 is equivalent to 2 molecules of ATP. So 2 molecules of FADH2 is equivalent to 4 ATP, and 1 molecule of GTP is equal to 1 molecule of ATP. So from 2 molecules of GTP, 2 molecules of ATP are produced. So if you just add all these, a total of 38 ATP can be found to be produced during respiration, and in addition to that 6 molecules of carbon dioxide are produced. This table is very important. You need to memorize it, and first of all you need to understand the process very well, and then you need to memorize it. You cannot make any mistakes over there. Okay. Next is the anaerobic respiration, which occurs in absence of oxygen. Here, the substance, that means the food materials, are partially oxidized. Not fully, partially, because there is no oxygen with the help of enzymes. So here instead of oxygen, the oxidization is done by some enzymes and produces different kind of organic compound such as alcohol, lactic acid, carbon dioxide, and small amount of energy. Only 2 molecules of ATP. So you can see the difference that during aerobic respiration 38 ATP are produced, whereas in anaerobic respiration only 2 molecules of ATP are produced. So that means aerobic respiration is more efficient, right? So here are 2 reactions given for anaerobic respiration. First, where the glucose gets oxidized in the presence of some enzymes and produces ethanol and carbon dioxide, and in the second reaction glucose is oxidized and lactic acid and energy is produced. Okay, so anaerobic respiration occurs in some microorganisms. It has 2 stages. First is incomplete oxidation of glucose, and the second is incomplete reduction of pyruvic acid. In the incomplete oxidation of glucose, what happens is that 1 molecule of glucose produces 2 molecules of pyruvic acid, 4 molecules of ATP, 2 of which are being used, and 2 molecules of NADH plus H plus. So you can see that this stage is similar to the glycolysis of aerobic respiration, right? Then is the incomplete oxidation of pyruvic acid. This is different from the aerobic respiration. Here, with the help of enzymes, pyruvic acid is converted to carbon dioxide, ethanol, or lactic acid. Instead of producing high amount of energy, these are converted to either alcohol or acid, and thus a small amount of energy is produced. In this case, NAD, which is reduced in glycolysis, releasing electron, proton, and energy, which is later used to produce ethyl alcohol or lactic acid. Here, no oxidative phosphorylation is occurred due to the presence of oxygen. Oxidative phosphorylation is the addition of phosphate in the presence of oxygen occurred during the electron transport system of aerobic respiration. So here, in case of anaerobic respiration, no oxidative phosphorylation occurs due to the absence of oxygen. Now, the factors affecting respiration. There are several factors that plays important role during respiration. These can be of two types. First is external factors and the seconds are internal factors. Among the external factors, first is temperature. Temperature plays very important role during respiration. The respiration rate becomes low at temperatures below 20 degrees Celsius and above 45 degrees Celsius. So we can see that the optimum temperature for respiration is in between 20 degrees Celsius and 45 degrees Celsius. Next is oxygen. Oxygen is a must for aerobic respiration, right? Because anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen. So in case of aerobic respiration, pyruvic acid is oxidized into carbon dioxide and water. So aerobic respiration cannot be carried out without oxygen. Next factor is water. The supply of optimum amount of water keeps the respiration in its normal state. So if the water supply is either too high or too low, then respiration will be inhibited. Next comes light. Though light is not required for respiration, not directly required, but the rate of respiration is higher in daylight. And why is that? Because the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen, the carbon dioxide that is produced during respiration, it needs to be exchanged with the oxygen so that more respiration can take place. So this occurs during daylight because the stomata remains open during daylight. So thus indirectly light plays a very important role during respiration. Last external factor is carbon dioxide. So if the amount of carbon dioxide in the air is increased, as our product of respiration is carbon dioxide, if the amount of carbon dioxide is high in the air surrounding the plant, then the respiration rate will be slower because the air is already saturated with the carbon dioxide in it. So if the amount is low in the air, the respiration rate will be higher. Then the internal factors. Among the internal factors, first is food materials. In respiration, energy, water and carbon dioxide are produced by breaking down food materials, which is our respiratory substance. So the amount and the types of food control the rate of respiration. Respiration rate is not same in all food materials, so the type and how much food is present in the cell plays a very important role during respiration. Then enzymes. Respiration is a physiological process and we know that enzymes are mandatory for any physiological process. There are several types of enzymes actively taking part in the process of respiration. So a deficiency of enzymes causes the rate of respiration to slow. Next is the age of cells. In young cells, especially cells in the meristematic tissues, that means where meristematic tissues are the tissues which divides growing parts, right? So the young cells, the greater amount of protoplasm causes respiration at a higher speed than in old cells. Next is inorganic salts. Though some salts inhibit the process of respiration, but there are some salts in the cells that are essential for the running of normal activities of the cell and to drive the process of respiration. Our last internal factor is intracellular water, which is necessary to dissolve different respiratory substances and to increase the effect of enzymes. Okay, so lastly, we're going to discuss about the significance of respiration. All organisms. Photosynthesis was only occurring in plant body, but respiration occurs in plants and animals body. That means all organisms produce energy through the process of respiration. The released carbon dioxide that is produced during the respiration is used in photosynthesis. Plants can utilize this carbon dioxide and run the process of photosynthesis. This process helps plants to absorb mineral salts that take part in different physiological processes of plants. the energy required for cell division. Cell division, when we were studying cell division, got to know that energy is required, right? So the energy comes from this respiration, because this is the only way that we can convert the energy into usable form. Different sub-alkaline and organic acids are also produced during respiration, which takes part in different physiological processes. There are some organisms that cannot survive in the presence of oxygen, and for those organisms, anaerobic respiration is the only way to produce energy. And then in case of anaerobic respiration, ethyl alcohol and lactic acid are produced, and therefore which are used in the bakery, brewery and other industries. So thus anaerobic respiration plays a very important role in these important industries. Okay, so that's all from this chapter. If you have any question or queries, or if there was something that you did not understand properly, do not hesitate to let me know. I'll explain it more. This is a very important chapter, photosynthesis and respiration, so you need to practice it as much as you can. The time you're getting at home, think of it as a privilege, and make sure you obtain the highest mark in your next exam. So yes, that's all for today. May Allah protect all of you from this global crisis and everything, and I'll see you in next class. Good luck.